السلام عليكم. Welcome back to another episode of Quran Surah Review, where we review each chapter of the Quran. My name is Ahmad,
And my name is Safa.
and we are happy to go into the chapter 13, Surah Al-Ra'd, which means the chapter of
Thunder.
thunder, which when I first started recording it, I'm like, is it lightning? Is it thunder?
Thunder.
It's very much thunder. Very much thunder.
Lightning is bad.
Barq. Yeah,
yes.
yeah. And they're both mentioned in the Quran, which is in this specific chapter, which is kind of interesting. We did a format last time that was kind of just what are the main lessons, what are we going through, and I don't think we can do that format for this chapter because it feels like the chapter talks about so many different things. So what we're going to do is similar to the review. We're just, instead of reading every ayah, we're just going to kind of go over the sections.
Yeah.
And then see what each section is talking about, and see what it's talking, and see how we can kind of address it, and see what the lessons are. It's something to kind of direct the conversation, because there's a lot of things that this chapter talks about, and they feel a little bit disconnected at times.
Yes.
The first section, which is I think like four verses.
I think in the fifth verse.
So not the first four.
So we said the first
The
four
first section
are so okay. Okay, let's talk about the first four. Then
the one thing I did notice about the first four is that it ends. So the ending of each, لا يؤمنون, they do not believe. توقنون, to believe with certainty. So they don't believe, they do believe with certainty. So it's kind of opposites. And then لقوم يتفكرون, those who ponder, who think, who reflect. لقوم يعقلون, those who use reason.
Okay.
So it's creating the duality, and I see within this verse, within this chapter, a lot of duality. It does talk about the sun and the moon in the beginning.
Yes.
The subject of the sun and the moon.
Yeah, and the believers and the disbelievers.
And the disbelievers, and truth and falsehood, and that kind of sets the tone for the whole chapter. And what's interesting is that this chapter is very different to the previous chapter. Chapter of Yusuf is a narrative where it's a story and you're following and things are happening, and the whole, like, it's kind of, if it was a novel, you could easily write it into a novel because it's a sequence of actions, whereas this is more about pondering, lessons, thinking, analogies. It seems a bit more abstract.
Looking at the universe, how things work.
Yeah.
Yes, and I found it very interesting also in the second verse that it says, Allah who raised the heavens without pillars that you can see.
Which means?
So it gives you the impression that there are pillars, but you do not see them.
Well, that was there's two discussions. One is that there are no pillars and we can't see them, and the other is there are pillars that we cannot see.
Yeah.
So it's kind of either or, and I think either argument can be made for this. I want to say, I feel like I heard of something scientific at some point about like pressure columns. I think my dad was trying to explain it to me once, but it's a very interesting topic.
It is.
And
I found it very interesting because I think it means that there are pillars, but we just cannot see it.
Yeah.
So I thought it's interesting, yes.
Yeah.
I also don't know about the scientific thing behind it, but maybe we can find something. I don't know.
Setting the scene, the first four verses are
about the universe, the world,
the world,
the earth,
God
the
creating
sky,
it, the roots, and it talks about the fruits that the same water gives the same plants, but they produce different flavors, different fruits, which I think is also kind of an analogy for how everything and everyone is different. But then we get that in a bit more later in the sections. Yes. So what do you want to say about section 5? Verse 5, Chad.
For the fifth verse, actually, there was something that I wanted to discuss because it's talking about the people who were saying, so if we are reduced to dust, will we really be raised as a new creation, as it says here?
Yeah.
And then it says that these are the people who will be in hell, who will burn in hell, basically.
Sure.
Who will be the residents of the fire.
Yeah.
And thinking about, like, the mentality of people today and how people think about so what if it's like a good person, and it is a thought that came to my head also because there are a lot of
good people,
and I don't know I honestly I don't know if you are a disbeliever and you don't believe in heaven or hell or another creation or the end they or could you still be does that make you a bad person? Is that a
I don't think it makes
and
you a bad
what is good
person.
or bad?
I don't think it makes you good. But this argument isn't about being a good or bad person. This argument is about who's going to hell.
Yeah.
And I understand that concept. And I've had that very thought. What if a person is good their whole life, but then dies as a non-believer?
Yeah.
Then do they go to hell? According to the Quran and according to what I understand, they do go to hell.
Yeah.
However, I've talked about this briefly, and I don't want to get into it into too much detail because it's going to come in later in the Quran. There is the concept of multiple deaths in the Quran. Have you ever heard of it? And the way that the Quran says it sometimes that you die, you raise, you die again, and then yumitukum, yuhyukum, thumma yumitukum.
But here it says it's eternal.
Sure. But it says when you die as a disbeliever, it doesn't necessarily mean the first death. If there are multiple deaths, if like your body dies and then your soul exists and then your soul can die, if there's some
I'm not familiar with the multiple deaths thing,
be honest. It's a concept that I've kind of touched upon in the Quran, but not too much, and I don't want to get into it in too much detail, but I feel like there is a window after our physical bodies die before our souls leave this earth, because I still feel like our souls have, as long as you think and as long as you feel, as long as there's an opportunity to believe, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. But that's maybe a fantasy in my head that has nothing to do with reality. But according to the Quran, anyone that doesn't believe
they will go to hell, yes. But also if we are very accurate, if you look and I think this is something we discussed before, that it says these are the companions of fire or the owners of fire. If you translate the words,
companions of fire, but they are in it abiding forever. So it does describe that they're going to be.
But we did discuss before, what is fire? Is it like a real fire where people are burning, or is it a place that is like where people are suffering of some? What is fire? And I think that this is a very big debate.
Sure, but what it seems to be in the descriptions that we see in the Quran is that it's terrible. They do have descriptions of hell in other parts of the Quran where they're talking about how you're like dying to drink water, you're dying of thirst, and all you have to drink is boiling water. And so there are much more vivid descriptions in the Quran of fire, and it's very unpleasant and very painful and very.
We will.
And that your skin will get renewed so that you can suffer some more.
Yeah.
It's a bad place.
Yeah, but again, I don't know if this is something that we should take like
literally or not.
Yeah. I'm not sure if this is like.
As far as I can tell, it's very literal.
Okay.
The Quran seems to describe it, and it describes it in much more colorful detail in other parts of the Quran.
Okay.
Yeah. The disbelievers ask to hasten the punishment, and I find it funny that they ask to hasten the punishment rather than.
The way I understand it is that so if it is real, then bring it on. It's something like of disbelieving that something can really happen.
But it's
it's
funny that they ask for the bad. They don't ask for the good.
Yeah, because it's like I'm arrogance, like I'm so sure that it's not true that I'm asking you to bring on the bad part.
And a lot of times, again, the translation says prophet, but it doesn't say prophet. إنما أنت منذر.
I think so. When the verse is like to the prophet in Arabic, it's easy to understand from the structure of the sentence that it's going to it is referring to the prophet. But I think in English it's more difficult to make it like. So this is why they need to.
I don't think so. I think they've added this as what they think the Quran means rather than what it literally says.
Yeah, there's
a difference. It literally says you are only a warner, and it's added. Oh, by the way, here it means the prophet.
Yeah.
Which it's possible that it's possible.
Who do you think it's speaking to?
Well, I always talk about the concept that there might be a messenger after the prophet.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay, can we? And actually, there is something interesting here because it says you are a warner, so you came to warn them,
Yeah.
and every people had a guide,
Yeah.
or you are for every. So it can be understood in two ways. It can be that you came to warn them, and every other people had someone to guide them, or you came to warn them, and you are to all the different people.
I don't think this is talking about whoever this is talking. أنت منذر, you are a warner.
Yes.
And then it says something separate. وَلِكُلِّ قَوْمٍ هَادٍ. And for
Yeah,
every
so
people.
it can be both. So it can be understood, like you said, that you are a warner, and for every people they have someone to guide them. And it can be understood if I read it إنما أنت منذر ولكل قوم هاد. It can be like you are a
You're a
warner,
warner
and you
and
are
you're,
to
and-
every people a guide.
Sure. However, the way that I would imagine every people, this includes the people of the past.
Yeah.
He was definitely not a warner to the people of the past. The ones before Muhammad. So it doesn't make sense that to the people before Muhammad that he was a warner for them, right?
Yeah, if you understand it, that the people who existed like from the beginning
Of time, I think.
from the beginning of time, yeah, then it would not make sense. Yes.
And that's why, for me, it's the beginning of time and for the times after, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that the Prophet Muhammad is the only one that is guiding the believers. Because there's also like a lot of Christians and Jews, for instance, they're guided, but through different means.
Yeah, it can be the first meeting. The first meaning is the more accurate.
And here we see the comparison between fruits in the beginning and women bearing children, and some increase and decrease in wombs.
Yes.
Everything discerned. God is the knower, the unseen. He's the all great, most exalted. He knows what's happening. Whether
So
you say
and I found this verse actually very interesting, because here it's like very specific. So it says God knows everything, whether you speak about it or whether you are private and you don't talk about it, whether you hide in darkness or you go in the during the day. God knows everything.
Yeah.
And honestly, when I was reading it, I was like, do I really believe in this? Like, it's very difficult. It's, do you really know it in your heart? Are you always aware that God knows what you're doing? I think that this is a high level to reach.
Oh, you're not aware that God is knowing everything you're doing?
I am, but I feel like we forget it a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's...
I have the male ego, where I think everything is about me.
Okay.
So thinking that God is watching my every move.
All the time?
It comes
Okay.
naturally to me, like I am the
Okay.
star of the show, that God is like...
To be honest, I think not everyone is like this.
For sure.
And I think that a lot of people do a lot of things and they forget, like do a lot of wrong things, and they forget that God knows everything, whether you say it or you don't say it, whether you hide it. Because I feel like also it's very human that when you hide something,
I'm being
or
attacked
when
by
you
cats.
don't tell anyone about something, you feel like no one knows about this, so I'm safe. I feel like this is the human part, and this is why people do a lot of bad things as well. So and they think that no one knows, I'm safe. But do we really realize that God knows everything and God is aware of everything? And I feel like it's a difficult concept to realize. You know what I mean?
It might be. But I think this is what it talks about, attaqullah, which is be mindful of God. And the concept is to think about God in everything that you do, in every moment, and everywhere you go. And there's an interesting point at the end of the chapter about how when it says God erases what he wants and he adds what he wants.
Yes, we discussed this because
al-Kitab, which
I'm
is,
not sure what it means.
So
we'll discuss it.
Okay, we'll get to it, because the concept is that he knows everything that's happening. Does he know that everything that's going to happen? Does the Quran say that he knows everything that's going to happen?
This is a very big debate.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were discussing this. I don't know. So there are people who say Lawh al-Mahfuz has everything. So everything that happened and that will happen. And there are people who say no. What's gonna happen is still to happen. It's not all written. But I think most Muslims believe that there is something called the Lawh al-Mahfuz, and that this has all the information about everything, and that since you were born, everything about your life is basically predetermined. So it's very difficult to understand also where you have free will if everything is already written.
Surah 13 and 19, which is what we just read. He knows it's always about al-ghaib. And he knows the hour of when judgment day is coming,
Yeah.
and he knows the unseen.
Yeah, but I think your question is more about what will happen in the future, right?
Yeah.
Like,
So does the often in the Quran it refers to God is seeing the unseen and unknown. And we take it to mean that it can mean the future. However, does it mean that it's future? And like,
yeah, I know what you mean. So, is it that the future is already predetermined? This
Yeah.
is the question. Is the future predetermined? Like everything is already written, right?
what's
No, it's fine.
You're just going off.
It's fine. So,
Is the future predetermined, and does God know it? And is it all going according to God's plan? Is the main question of what's happening. I mean, God knows everything. I like the concept of God knowing everything that's happening at all points in time. For me, is easy to understand,
yeah.
and I feel like that for sure. And that's what he's saying. God is saying. God.
So this is the general Muslim understanding. In the previous few months, I was listening to someone called Muhammad Shahrur. So he studied the Quran. He's originally an engineer, and he studied the Quran, and he wrote a few books about a new modern understanding for the Quran.
Cool.
And he came up with all these different definitions, and he said that actually the future is not predetermined, and that Muslims should start to think that the future is not predetermined so that they are more aware of their actions and the consequences of their actions. So, for example, like doctors are more aware that my actions will lead to this patient living or dying, because if you believe that okay, this guy, his life is determined that he will die at the age of 40 anyway or something. In his opinion, he thinks that this makes us more careless.
Sure.
Because we think, okay, like it's predetermined for him. But I know that the traditional Islamic mentality, like Al-Azhar, for example, the big institutions of Islam, they say that everything is predetermined, everything is written in advance. You are just living, but God knows everything that's going to happen from now. And everything that's going to happen is written down from now.
The other perspective is that the Quran and what Jesus said and what Moses said are prophecies, and that's why they were prophets. And prophecies tell you what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah.
Which means that they must have access to some sort of knowledge from God
Yeah.
about the future, and therefore God must know what is going to happen in the future. But maybe there are fixed moments of time in the future.
So
and
I think there is also like a difference between what will happen in general in terms of this world, this universe. Like there will be a judgment day, there will be like major
what's going to happen to Israel?
natural disasters or something like that. And there is also what will happen for you as a human being in your life after 5 years, for example. Is it predetermined from now? So like I will give the example of myself. Like from the day I was born, is it known that I will die like in the year, I don't know, XXX? Is it already written from the day I was born? Or is it like what happens in my life will determine the day I will die, and it's still open until now. So this is the question. It's very difficult to answer, I think it's very difficult to answer this question. So there is no clear answer, I think.
I agree. And I think I'd love to hear from our audience, if you can drop a comment to kind of share your perspective on the topic. Definitely, there are prophecies, for example, what's going to happen to the children of Israel.
Yeah.
It does talk about what has happened. It does talk about where we are today, and it does talk about where we're going. So there seems to be some sort of indication that knowledge of the future is possible.
Yeah.
And also, I've seen or I've heard some people have perspectives on, and they have ideas of what's going to happen in their future. I mean, I know it sounds a bit esoteric, and let's not spend too much time talking about it. Some people have like abilities, not necessarily to see the future, but kind of predict, kind of say, and I've had moments like this in my own life when I felt like something was going to happen, and I didn't quite understand it until
Yeah.
much later after it
Yeah.
happened, and I was like, oh, that's what that feeling was. Oh, okay, so I kind of had like a warning. And I feel
Yeah.
like if we can kind of have some sort of access to the future,
Yeah.
then God definitely has
And
access
it
to the
happened to me
future.
also in a dream. And it happens, I think, to a
Yeah.
lot of people that you dream something and then it comes true.
And that's
But
the
there
previous
and
chapter was talking about dreams and visions coming true.
yeah,
Prophets
and
and
this
messengers
is
that have the ability to see in the future. Yeah.
this is also well known. And I think even scientifically now they can relate it a little bit to like no, I'm just
Anyway, so it
let's not
seems
get
that
into it.
humans can have visions of the future.
Yes.
Prophecies are written about the future.
Yes.
So if I had to guess, my guess would be that God does know the future.
Does know everything.
Yeah.
And this for me it sounds like the more realistic
Yeah.
it sounds like the more convincing to me and the more natural to me. I don't know.
But I like this kind of idea of if God is, there was the argument that if God is capable of everything, can he create a rock that he cannot lift? A rock so heavy that he cannot lift? That's the argument that a lot of atheists, it's a thought experiment. If God can do anything, can he do something where he can't do something? In other words, can God limit his power? And I think I like that idea. I like that idea that God does have access to the full future and he can see everything, but he's kind of like he's watching a movie and he doesn't want to skip ahead. Like if he wanted to look ahead, he could open the parts of the book and later and read them, and maybe he kind of says how it ends, but he kind of wants to see the journey and he wants to let himself experience life. So maybe there's a limitation of his perception. He limits his own perception. But that's
I think
we're getting
that's making it very human. Like
True.
you're making it
True.
like he's a human
True,
and
true, true.
he's following a movie or something. I think it's very different.
Yeah. Anyway,
I think it's very different. Yeah.
let's stick to the verses that are ahead of us. We had a wonderful other section. Anyway, God knows whether you say speak openly or secretly. Here was an interesting concept. Here it says له معقبات من بين يديه ومن خلفه يحفظونه.
Yes, the angels. Yes.
So first of all, it doesn't say the words angels.
No, it doesn't. But this is how they explained it.
Sure. And second of all, why is it saying him? له. And then people.
It returns to God, right? Or
No. له معقبات من بين يديه ومن خلفه يحفظونه من أمر الله.
Okay.
From God's command.
Oh.
So here, my best guess was that it's the messenger, but I've heard that the explanation from a lot of people is that all people have an angel before them and after them, and then there was a concept of why we say Salam Alaikum at the end of every prayer, because we have an angel on our right and an angel on our left. I don't think this is talking about every human being. And this is what's frustrating me about this specific chapter is it says one thing, God sees the unseen, known and unknown, and then all of a sudden it's talking about he has things that are watching over him from behind him and from in front of him and from behind him.
Can we go back to the previous verse one more time?
Yeah.
سواء منكم من أسر كل من جهر به ومن هو مستخف بالليل وسارب بالنهار. So each one of you. So here it says whether it's you who is who speaks secretly or openly, whether the person who is hiding at night or the person who is just wandering around in daylight, whether you are this person or this person or this person, you will have mu'aqubat. And I understand what you mean about the word. The word is not angels, but they explain it as angels.
And okay. So here, let's take it a second. So maybe this is how God sees everything about everyone. Mu'aqibat, we translated it to angels, but maybe it's not angels. Maybe it's some sort of phenomenon, some sort of species. Think of it as God's cameras. Because angels is like an interesting concept, but I think it's definitely.
It doesn't say angels. I totally agree. It doesn't say angels. Successive is a more accurate translation of the word of this word.
Something that is behind or in front of you that's kind of maintaining on you.
Between your hands and from behind you. So it's like
you're
surrounded by something. I don't know if it's angels. Yeah.
But يحفظونه من أمر الله, guarding him from the command of God.
I don't think this is the meaning. The way I understood it actually is from the command of like by the order of God.
By Allah's
Ah,
command.
yes, by Allah's command. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is by Allah. So Allah is
Oh,
commanding
so
something.
they
So they
are
are.
guarding this person, like,
But
and it's like guarding isn't the
as
right word, but like watching over this person
yes,
through God's command.
as commanded by God.
Okay.
Yeah.
And something's watching you. I always feel like somebody's watching. It could be angels, but for me, it didn't make sense that every human had two angels.
I think this is the common. Yeah.
The
this
common
is what-
understanding is that they're
yeah.
angels, but I don't think that they're angels. I don't know why. It just does not describe me as angels. A different phenomenon is
Maybe because also you never felt that there are angels around you. Have you ever
yes.
got the feeling that you have angels around you?
When I was younger, I had an entire conversation with my parents when I couldn't sleep at night, so I came up to my dad's room and I was like, I can't go to sleep. And my dad's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, yeah, the two gentlemen are making me laugh. And my dad freaked out. So he went to like a Sheikh Dean, which is like a religious leader at the time, and he's like, what's happening? My son's saying he's seeing something that isn't there, or seeing something. And then they're like, no, this sounds like angels. This doesn't sound like... That's what the description of the elders at the time, whether or not that's true, whether or not it is, we don't know. I don't know. But I have a feeling that I have met angels. But as a child, but not as... I don't remember it, but I remember the story, so to speak.
Interesting.
And obviously I've had some other ideas and experiences, but let's not keep that for the stream. Yeah. But it's interesting to see what this verse was saying.
Yes, but it's also if we and then it says إن الله لا يغير ما بقوم حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم, meaning that God will not change what is in people until they change themselves. What there is in themselves. And I feel like this is very true when it comes to people or to communities. Yeah. If we're honest, like
it's a very human thing. If you want to change the world, change yourself.
Yes, and it's
very philosophical.
It's very philosophical, and it's very relevant today.
Yeah.
And it was and it is from the Quran actually. So
which I love it.
Yeah.
Then if God wants to torture you, nobody can protect you, which is very. And then here's where we see the reference to lightning and thunder, lightning.
Oh, yes, okay.
He's the one that shows you lightning, which is both terrifying and giving you hope, which is kind of like, again, there's a lot of duality in this verse.
Yes.
Something good, something very bad, something good.
Yeah.
It's very poetic.
Yes.
And the heavy clouds, and here's where the thunder comes in. And it's interesting that the thunder glorifies God with its praise.
It's
and
very
the angels.
Interesting.
And here's where the angels get mentioned for fear of him.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. And then here I actually had Mahab watching the stream when I was doing this, and he sends thunderbolts, so he strikes whomever he wills. So was the question that Mahab raised was, are natural disasters punishment from God? I said I don't know. Yeah, I said here it seems to be that God can send thunderbolts to strike whoever he wills. But that doesn't necessarily mean that every thunderbolt is God's punishment.
Yeah, and I had reading these verses also. There is in another place, I think, that someone, because they're not good people, something bad happens to them. But also, I don't think that this is always the case, because you have like prophets who had very difficult things happen to them. So
And then we enter the comparison of truth versus falsehood, like the truth and the knowledge that we get from God when he sends it through his messengers versus the pagans that invoke other gods.
I think this is the next one.
And the comparison of water reaching their hands, but it never reaches.
Yeah.
And this was interesting. لله يسجد في السماوات والأرض طوعا وكرها.
Yeah, so
everyone in the heavens and the earth prostrates before God, whether they want to or they don't want to.
Yeah, willingly and unwillingly.
And then there was another concept of what is وَظِلَالَهُمْ, their shadows in the mornings and night. What is the shadows in the morning and night mean?
Yeah. I think in the explanation I read it's that when you bow down, then there is... But there is also the other explanation that you have...
Shadow self?
Yeah. It's something like the cultural thing. I don't think I'm
Explain
not
to me-
sure if it
explain-
is from religion, but in our countries, there is this understanding
Which
that
is what?
every person has a shadow self or something like
Yeah.
that.
Well, every person has a qareen as well.
This is what.
But
Yeah,
you were
this
saying
is
the
what I
qareen
mean.
is the shadow self. Because
Yeah.
the Quran talks about the qareen. The qareen is your spiritual soul counterpart, that if you do good things, it does good things. If you do bad things, it does bad things. By the way, I met somebody who saw their qareen. But this is after a lot of drug use, a lot of, like, he abused himself to the point where he
So
was.
it can be hallucinations. Huh?
I know, but he said he was so, and he's a Muslim and he prays, and said he was so far down consumption alley, and he was destroying everything, completely terrible person, and he's like, I came face to face with my qareen, and I saw how terrible it was, and I realized how bad my life had gotten, and that kind of made him snap out of the despair. So he went down all the way down to hell.
That's very interesting.
Very interesting. So qareen could be the shadow self. Qareen could be the soul counterpart. It could be that's what they mean, the shadows. But I feel like
Yes.
the Quran mentions qareen specifically, and here it's mentioning shadow. And I feel like there's a difference between the two.
I don't know. I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah. And here's the comparison. Can the blind and the one who can see, they be equal? Darkness or light be equal? Or they have associated God with partners? I also like this argument that kind of gained to me, which is like, oh, if you're praying to something other than God, what are those things that you prayed to? What have
Yeah.
they done in the world?
Yeah.
What have they created? What is their claim to existence, right? Because I've heard a lot of people that like pray to Hecate and Lucifer and yada yada yada, and I'm like, okay, so what have those people done in the world today, or is it just the relationship that you have with them and they're telling you to do wonderful things? Yeah, can you compare the two creations? Is always the thing. He sends the rain down, and here I like this the Zabadun.
Yes, this is a
the
very beautiful verse as well. So it talks about truth and
falsehood, truth
falsehood.
Yeah,
It's like
And it
what's
uses the
good
same
of the
word.
water and what's bad. What's bad goes away, and what remains is the good part. And the same for metals, I think.
Well, so Zabadan, when it comes to water, Zabadan means foam. Zabadan, when it comes to making ornaments,
Yes.
there's also it's the same word. Zabadan, Zabadun,
Yes.
Zabadun mitlahu, but it's like the same word being used in multiple situations, and in the water it
Yes.
disappears,
Yes.
but with the metal it stays and you hold something onto it. So truth is something that does not disappear, whereas the falsehoods are the things that do disappear.
So truth remains and
Yeah.
the falsehood disappears.
Yeah.
And this is very true. If you think about it,
Yeah.
it is true.
Yeah.
But you can also think about it that in history, for example, a lot of things are not very accurate.
What is your point?
It's not truth that remained in history. Like, because sometimes it's like,
Yeah, but we need to have specific examples of that. We can't, because all we know is the truth of history.
and you can argue that this is actually not true, that what remains is really the truth.
Huh?
You can argue, so sometimes they say that history is written according to
His story, yeah. The victor
won.
writes the story, yeah.
So it's not necessarily always the truth. But you can also argue that if it's still here, then it's probably the truth.
Well,
I don't know.
here's the counter argument.
Yeah.
Israel.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Moving on. But eventually, will it stay and will it remain? We shall see. Okay. Those who respond to the call of the Lord will have the finest rewards. Those who do not respond, even if they possess everything in the world. Ooh.
It's for Romeo.
Yeah.
It's his
Food.
food.
Even though he just ate.
Yeah, but he eats a lot.
Yeah, I know, because you feed him a lot.
Yeah.
Are you trying to look for something? What's happening?
Yeah, I wanted to make sure about the shadow part that I didn't miss anything. It's like I told you, what I read is really their shadows when they.
They bow. I don't think that's what it's trying to say. I don't think it's as simple as, oh, your shadow is bowing down just as much as you are. And I'm like, okay, well, that seems kind of dumb. Like, that's like, oh, just explaining, oh, that's how a shadow works. A shadow will copy you. Like, I feel like there's more to the statement than.
Yes, probably.
Yeah.
Probably there is more to it, yes. Yes, and maybe it is related to what we talked about, like a Qareen, and that you have a shadow self or a Qareen.
Yeah.
But I honestly didn't know that it comes from the Quran, that you have a Qareen.
Yeah.
But it is something very, what, like in the culture, you know, like the things that we just believe in, or that we hear about growing up.
Quran chapter 50, 27, 28, when the Qareen disputes on the day of judgment.
Okay.
Quran 21, 25.
Okay.
Additionally, 43, 36, 38. Humans' eternal companion who will face fear consequences of disbelief and lead them astray. Also describe a companion in their afterlife. Key verses. So we'll get there.
Okay.
And then the last verse in this section is that those who believe and respond to their God's call do good, and those who do not respond, if they collected everything in the world, it won't even try to ransom it. It won't do them any good. They will face judgment, and they're in hell, and it's a very terrible place to be, for sure. And then here the comparisons continue. The one who knows that your Lord's revelation to you is the truth is the same as the one who's blind. Again, comparison between the two. And here it compares knowing that this is truth. So there's a difference as well. Like in the first couple of verses, it says truth remains, whereas falsehoods disappear.
Yeah.
Now here, the comparison's different. Here is saying, is the one who recognizes the truth the same as someone who is blind?
Yes.
So now it's taking it out of the object and more into the perceiver.
Yes.
So it's no longer about what is truth and what is falsehood. It's about whether you can see the truth and whether you can. And it's comparing the person who sees.
Yes. So it says the people who know the truth, they are not like
who know it
blind.
as truth.
They are not like the blind person. Yeah. And I like a lot how it is. اسمها ايه يعني انه هو اعمى بيشبهها باعمى.
Yeah, it's a blind, seeing and being blind. Like it's a very beautiful metaphor as well, because it's not literal, but it's metaphorically seeing.
Yeah.
And then we talked about God's covenant, and this is where things get interesting. Never breaking the pledge, and those who maintain whatever.
And what is the pledge? So here it's also a very interesting point. So who do not break the pledge. So is it something that we know, that we remember? When did this happen? Because it is mentioned in many places. Actually, this is not the first time. I think it's mentioned throughout the Quran that we should be mindful of our pledge and never break our pledge that we made.
So I obviously brought up the reference that's the concept that we had before we came to Earth.
Yes.
We had made a pledge to God.
Yes.
But I'm not sure of this.
Yes.
But it keeps coming up and it keeps
coming up.
Yeah.
Exactly. So is it something that we're aware of? And what I thought about today, reading this verse, I thought maybe it's just your instinct. Maybe this pledge is just you do have I feel like human beings in general have an instinct. Even cats, even animals have a certain instinct.
How's instinct a pledge?
No, it's not exactly the pledge, but maybe your instinct makes you act according to the pledge that you made. This is a crazy thought that I got when reading this. But I thought maybe in a way, like if you're just acting according to your, maybe people are like they say are good. In essence, they are good, and if you act according to your instinct, if you act according to your inner,
some people are not good people.
Yeah, maybe it's not true. Yeah, I don't know. It's just an idea that
their instincts are garbage. Their instincts are really bad.
But are their instincts garbage, or are they hiding the truth? Because also in the Quran, a lot of times it's talking about people who do bad, that they are hiding the truth and that they are altering themselves, and that, oh my god, أنا اتخضيت.
Hi, hello. Sorry, I'm being attacked by a cat. The cutest little cat, but a cat
Yes,
nonetheless.
the cutest cat.
Well, the next verse is kind of interesting because there's the way that it talks about believers versus non-believers. Believers join what God ordered to be joined.
And I read a very interesting explanation that you will like a lot, Ahmed, that they interpret this, that those who maintain whatever ties Allah has ordered to be maintained, as believing in all the prophets and all the messages. So you are linking, making all the ties. And of course, there's the common understanding of the common Muslim is that this is referring to maintaining your ties with family members, even if they are not the immediate family, but the bigger family.
So I like the idea of tying all the messengers. I like the idea of tying your family. But what I said when I was reading the Quran is that tying your actions with the outcomes of the world. So I think for me, the way that I was describing it is that some people, and the people who don't believe and the people who are disconnected, go, it doesn't matter what I do. I can cheat, I can steal, because it doesn't matter. My actions don't matter. And for me, the tying is between our actions and between a divine purpose, something larger than life, something bigger than ourselves. It's kind of the concept of belief, right? Believing that what we do and what we are is connected. Whereas some people say that there's no connection, there's no meaning, there's no purpose, there's no drive. And that's what for me, the tie was there. And here, because it ends with, and they're afraid of an evil reckoning, right?
So it is, what I thought about is that this is something very, it seems like it's very fundamental, like it's very important.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean, because it says that you maintain the ties and you are mindful of God, then you are doing what you're supposed to be doing, basically. Like it must be something.
It has to do with action.
It must be something very fundamental.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not. This is why I think like making ties with your family, maybe it is very important, of course, to keep your family connections. But is it really like the most important thing in the world to keep your family connections?
Yeah.
Or is it the one thing that would be mentioned apart from all the other things? I don't know.
That's why for me, belief is the tie between your actions and a greater purpose, a greater meaning, a greater judgment, a greater truth. And you either connect it or you don't connect it. And the people who don't believe act in a way that is not incongruous with their higher spirits. And they harm themselves. And they're not necessarily bad people, but they're just not doing what they need to do to kind of to believe it. And it says, in those that are patient, here's the lessons of patience again, establish prayer, donate, secretly and openly. This made me happy, because there was one point when I first started believing last year, and I started giving to the poor around me. And then I was in one of the Quran episodes with you, and I mentioned that I was like, oh yeah, and I gave to the poor, and I was like, oh damn, I said it. I wasn't supposed to say it. I thought in my mind that I had to keep donating as a secret. So I'm like, listen.
It doesn't. I think you can also mention, like, a lot of people donate and it's very public. And it can be also in a way that you encourage other people to do the same.
And the Quran is telling me that, yes, you can do it.
Yeah, but I think you do it private if it's someone that you know, for example, and you don't want to embarrass them, or you don't want to make them feel like... I think that this is the wrong thing. If you're doing it out of showing that you are better than them, or to make someone feel bad about it, then in this way, then it's not right. But if you're doing it publicly to make other people do the same thing, then I think it's a good thing. Yeah. But here, the first thing is those who are patient.
Yeah.
And in the next verse, it will also mention that those who go to heaven will go to heaven due to their patience, or something like that. Patience, so that patience is like a huge,
super important. And it's what the angels say when they're in heaven, which we'll get there. Because first it describes the Garden of Eden, which is righteous, and walking with their parents that are good. Again, we I don't know if you weren't there when we talked about Surah Hud. But Surah Hud talked about Noah and his son and how his son.
No, I didn't. Well, I didn't do it with
Yeah,
you. No,
Noah was really sad because during the floods, his son didn't come on the
didn't
ship,
come. Yeah,
and he was like, "Get on the ship! It's literally raining." And he's like, "No, no, I'll get on the mountain." Like, bro. So it's just important that the people that go into heaven, even Noah's son, which I don't think that Noah's son was a bad person.
Yeah.
I think he might have been a good person,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty sure he's in hell. Saying that he's in hell is a terrible thing. Maybe.
No, we don't know.
We
shouldn't ever judge
We don't know
anyone.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
really, unless it's like it's written that if God told us somewhere that someone is in hell, then we should never, because
The only person we
the
know.
most basic thing is that God can forgive. Like God forgives for people for doing a lot of things.
But
so
they have to ask
we
for
shouldn't
it.
judge.
Yeah.
And you don't know if they asked for it or not, and you don't know what was in their heart.
The only person we know that is in hell is Abi Lahab.
Yeah.
Because there's a
سيصلى نارا
specific.
ذات لهب. Yes, I think for this one we know.
Because there's a whole chapter in the Quran about him.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I think otherwise we don't know. Like really, we cannot.
But anyway, in
say.
heaven are the righteous from their fathers or sons, their offspring, and then the angels come in from every door and say, "Assalamu alaikum bima sabartum."
Peace be upon you.
Upon
for
what
you
what
have
your
patiently
patience
endured,
yeah.
or you were very patient.
Yeah.
So as a reward for you, you will go to heaven because you were patient. So this shows like, and honestly, I find it very difficult. I'm not a very patient person. It's very I find it a very difficult thing to be patient, like it's.
And that's why being mindful of God helps you become patient.
Yeah.
Right? Because sometimes bad things happen. And we saw this in Surah Yusuf, the previous chapter, is that, he was in prison. He was thrown down a well, imprisoned. Jacob lost son number 1, then lost son number 2. And even then, even the most difficult of times.
They still believed in God and that things
and they still had patience.
They still had patience,
and that's the lessons that we have to kind of learn from this.
Yeah.
And then it says, and those who violate God's covenant after it's been affirmed, بعد ميثاقه, which again, is it an actual covenant that they make, or is it a covenant that happened before they were there? It's unclear. And they sever what God told them that they should join.
So this is the opposite of the previous verse.
And I do think that it's your behavior and your belief that it matters. That's my best guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that it's very hard to guess. It can be so many different things, to be honest. I don't know. But here it's the opposite, and then it says, and they spread corruption in the land. So the people who break the covenant and
spread corruption.
And spread corruption, yes.
Yeah.
So these people are cursed, and
for them is the worst. The worst home. And then it says God gives provisions for every who wills and limits provisions to every who wills, and the disbelievers become prideful.
Here, this is very interesting because it says, God gives as much to whom He wants.
Yeah.
But then at the ending of this verse, it says, and this world, this life, at the end, you will realize that it's like.
In comparison to the afterlife,
it's like it's nothing. It's basically it's just like.
It's just a play.
Yeah. So it makes you realize that all of this and all of our obsessions with the things that are here and people fighting over things and everything, that one day you will realize that it was just like.
But that also kind of helps us be more patient, is if you recognize that everything around us is just decoration and it's just temporary and it's just a distraction.
Yeah.
And here and then there's the wonderful conversation. قُلْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُضِلُّ مَنْ يَشَاءُ.
This is one of the most difficult things to understand for me, because I always had this question even since I was like very young, because I it's also mentioned in the Quran, I think, several times.
Several times. And it's mentioned in a different way later on,
Yeah.
which I think can explain. So I've had this argument with my dad where my dad translates this, that indeed God leads astray whomever wants to be led astray. The person doing the asha is the person, not God. And I disagree adamantly. I believe that this is God's will. And then it
But-
brings to the argument, if it's God's will, then is
Then
there
why
free
then
will?
then you would not be punished for anything. If it's God's will that you are not guided, then it's why would you be punished for it?
Yeah, and
So
it's the argument of free will.
I think that this is like also one of the most difficult things to understand. But yeah, to put your mind at ease, I think to think about it in your father's way is the safest way. That God will guide you astray if you want to be guided astray. But we did see it in the Al-Baqarah, that God gives you more of what you are already in.
Yeah.
Like if you seek and I think it is a verse in the Quran, اللي هو لو حد مشي الخطوتين towards God, then God will go towards you.
If someone takes 2 steps towards God, God will also take 10 steps towards you. For example.
And if you go like in the direction that you are going away from God, then He will also help you get lost, and He will make it seem more attractive in a way, so that you get more lost.
In the argument of, is God determining if we are guided or if we are determining if we are guided, I'm going to say the safest answer is both.
Yeah.
Which means it's both God's will and your will. At
Yeah.
any point in time, you have the choice, right? You like, even if God knows, and even God decided what you're going to do now, and you're going to do 5 minutes from now, what you're going to do for 5 minutes from now, there's still, from your perspective and from our perspective, we have choice.
Yeah, but
And
I
that
think
choice
it's
matters.
very, very important to believe in free will,
Yeah.
that human beings really have the will, because we do really have a choice. Like at every single moment, we do have a choice. I have a choice to sit here with you and read Quran, or go outside and do something completely different, or I have the choice to sleep early and go to work tomorrow, or sleep late and I do have a choice.
The whole point of life is that we have choice, right?
Yeah, the whole point is that we do have choice. So I think it's very dangerous to think that, no, we don't have a choice. Everything is predetermined. Everything, like, it's
Just
very,
because
very, like,
something
you
is-
can completely destroy your whole life because you think that, I can't do anything about it anyway.
Just because it's predetermined doesn't mean that we don't have choice. And I've always struggled with
Yeah.
people who tell me that it's predetermined, therefore it doesn't matter what I choose. No, it absolutely does matter what you choose. Your choice is what is determined. Like, your choice is... Like, someone might tell
you can think of it as a prophecy, the same as a prophecy.
Yeah.
Like it's God can see it from before it happens, but you still have a choice.
And you still have to
it
do
doesn't it's not contradictory. It's
Yeah.
not so God can see things before they happen because he has the highest knowledge.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it is your choice.
Yeah. And then it says something interesting. He guides to him whoever
Turns back. So this is, yes, exactly. This
Which,
is what I mean.
The way that I described it is that it feels like when you're born, there's kind of a walking away from God.
Yeah.
And then there's a point to walk back towards God. For some, not for all.
Not for all, of course, yes.
But there's, and I made this kind of interesting comparison with Greek mythology about Orpheus and Eurydice when he went down to hell, and they told him, you can leave and bring back, his girlfriend died. So he wanted to bring her back from the underworld. He's there, and the underworld judges said, if you leave and don't turn back, you can get her out of there. But before he gets to the end, he turns back and he fails.
Okay.
In the concept of Lut, the prophet Lut, they said, you and your wife and kids, you can leave the village, but don't turn back, except for your wife. She's one of the corrupt ones. And then in the Christian mythology, I've also heard that she turns back and she turns into stone. So turns back tends to be a bad thing in most situations, but overall, when it comes to life, turning back to God is what we have to
It's
do.
a good thing.
Is the ultimate return,
yeah, depends on the. It depends.
right? Yeah. It's interesting that a lot of
But
temptation.
here it's like you said, there are a lot of opposites.
Yeah.
So I think here also it's like two opposites.
Yeah.
That God will leave to stray whoever he wills, and he will guide to him whoever turns
away. Yeah.
turns back. And I think this in a way also it's the same that we were talking about. So he leaves to stray whoever he wills, and
And
guide
then
to him
whoever turns away.
whoever turns to him, whoever turns back to him.
But it requires the person to turn back
Exactly,
in order for God to say, okay,
exactly, yes,
I will guide
yes.
you.
So if you turn back to God, then God will guide you back to him.
Yeah, the catalyst is your free will,
Yeah.
and then God guides you or doesn't guide you. And if you don't turn around, God's not going to guide you. But if you
Yeah.
do turn around, God will guide you.
Yes.
Which is it's a difficult concept to kind of grasp.
Yes.
And those who believe find comfort in the remembrance of Allah. I mentioned that growing up, I'd always heard my family and my parents, Bismillah, Subhanallah, Astaghfirullah,
Yeah.
and I was like, why are they saying it so much? And then I realized this is how you become patient. Mention God.
And it says تطمئن قلوبهم, and I think it's a very beautiful sentence as well. It means that their hearts become calm, that
Yeah.
it calms down your heart.
Yeah.
And I think that anyone who is going through difficulties like know how important and how valuable that is, to feel like you have peace in your heart, because sometimes people, when you're going through something
Crisis,
difficult or
yeah.
something, your heart is racing and you're
Yeah.
stressed and you're. So here it says like by mentioning God, their hearts become calm. So
Yeah.
even if
Those who believe,
those who believe, yes.
Which is
But
very
it also says at the end, ألا بذكر الله تطمئن القلوب. So that means surely in the remembrance of God, hearts find
satisfaction,
comfort
yeah,
or calmness. I think is the most accurate.
Those who believe and do good, for them will be bliss and an honorable destination. Your life will be better, and your destination will be good. Those who believe, and this is why belief is such a powerful thing.
Yeah.
So thus we have sent you to a people, as we have sent to the people before, so that you can recite to them that what we have revealed to you, while they disbelieve in God. And then here, again, I like this explanation. It's like don't argue with them about God. All you have to say is, "My Lord, there's no God but Him, and upon Him I put my trust, and and to Him is my return."
Yeah.
Whenever someone argues with you about God, this is what you should say: "Just there's no God but Him. I put my trust in Him, and I turn to Him in repentance." And it's all about the self. It's not about the other, right? It's not telling the other you. Whoops. It's not about telling the other what they have to do.
Yeah, it's about strong belief. Like
and then,
you have to really strongly. And I think also here, it shows that you have to really really strongly believe to have the strength to say like. To have this like I don't care what you say, I don't care what you do, I don't care what. He is my God. There's no God but Him. I put everything like I توكلت عليه. What does it mean?
I depend on Him.
I depend on Him. I leave things to Him.
Yeah.
And
to Him I return.
Yeah. So it takes I think a lot of faith as well.
And if the Quran here, this is very interesting. If the Quran could split mountains, could move mountains, split the earth, or raise the dead to talk. Says no, but God is the advisor of all affairs. And here the grammar confused me.
Yeah.
And for some reason the translation yayas, they're saying it's
or
in
the Arabic,
realized. I don't know why they're not saying despair.
Also in the Arabic
they did not talk about it despairing, right?
They explain it as no. Yes, no. It's not despair. They say that it's no.
Which is why.
It's very weird. I know. I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense.
I don't understand.
For me, it makes sense that they despair those that believe that God is only going to guide. That if God wanted, God would have guided all mankind, which means God does not guide all mankind, and that's what the people who believe despair at.
Yeah. But in the Arabic interpretation, they also put it as no. That JS means no, and I do agree with you.
Yeah. It's so strange.
Because يأس means despair. Yes.
Yeah. It's
أفلم يأس الذين آمنوا أن لو يشاء الله لهدى
الناس جميعا. Yeah.
Yeah,
They
I
despair
don't
that
know.
if God had wanted, he would have guided everyone. And then it says, and the disbelievers still, and I think this is continuation of what they despair about, and that the disbelievers still strike them with what the disaster, because the disbelievers haven't all been struck with a disaster,
Exactly.
and this is what the
Yes,
believers
and this is
despair
also
about.
one of the things this is one of the comments I wrote actually, is that this doesn't always happen, right?
No, and that's what the believers despair about, right? That's why I think it's about despair. Until the promise of God comes, and God does not deny the promise. I think this is what the believers despair about, is why are the evil not getting punished, not getting struck down where we are today?
Yes, because this doesn't always happen. But it says, but at the end of the verse it says, until the promise of God comes, which is the judgment day.
It could be judgment day, but it also could be, because in the previous chapters, the previous 3 chapters, we were talking about the messengers and the prophets, and that the messengers came with a message saying that judgment's coming upon you.
Yeah.
So maybe if there is a messenger post Muhammad, there's going to be, again, judgment's coming upon you. And maybe that is going to be a promise that God is going to deliver. So it could be Judgment Day, which obviously Judgment Day is coming 100%.
Yeah.
But it also could be a punishment that comes beforehand.
Okay. If there is another promise from God.
Yeah.
So it says until the promise of God. So if God promised something, then it will happen.
It will happen for
because,
sure.
that God doesn't fail his promises. So.
But it's interesting, disaster. I met someone today that really loves disaster movies, and I'm like, why do people love disaster? There's something about disasters that is such a powerful human desire.
I like horror movies.
And I like fantasy, but let's move on. Other messengers have been ridiculed before you, but I delayed the disbelievers and then seized them, and how horrible, and this was the end of the disbelievers. I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Here I also understood it different than the translation said it. أَفَمَنْ هُوَ قَائِمٌ عَلَى كُلِّ نَفْسٍ بِمَا كَسَبَتْ, which means, for me, it says, who is it the one who is maintaining over every soul over what it earned?
Yeah. And they made to God partners.
And they made to God partners, and
So he said, name them.
Where are they?
Yeah.
Give me their
Yes.
names. And then they said, do they not know what they say, as if they're telling him something? أَمْ تُنَبِّئُونَهُ. So here's a question. Or do you let him know for what he does not know about the earth? Who's he? God?
Okay, wait, I can't remember. Can you أفمن هو قائم على كل نفس بما كسبت وجعل لله شركاء قل سموهم أم تنبئونه بما لا يعلم. Or are you, God, it's returning to God, I think. Or do you inform him, God?
I feel like, because here it's talking about,
so it's like,
they made partners to God.
Do you think that you know something that God doesn't know?
But before that,
something like that.
Before that it says, say, name them.
Yeah.
So who's say, name them? It's talking to the prophet, right?
No, to the disbelievers.
So قُلْ سَمُوهُم is talking to the believers to say to the disbelievers. But someone has to say it. Who's saying it? The prophet is saying.
The prophet.
So the prophet is saying name them.
Yes.
And that's why I think it's talking about, or do you inform him about what he does not know in the earth? The fact that it says he doesn't know about the earth, it kind of indicates that it's God. But for me, it's like, it feels like it's telling the prophet, say, name them. And then immediately it says, or are you talking about something that he doesn't?
Yeah, I know what you mean, yes. But I think it's returning to God. We can say, oh, prophet, name them. Or do you mean to inform him? I think the big him is God, of something he does not know on the earth.
Yeah, here it says God, and there it says God. But I'm like...
Yes, it's a bit it's a bit confusing, I think,
or the apparent of words has been made fair seeming to those that disbelieve, and they're plotting, and they are hindered against the path, and whoever is hindered by... Here's the other expression. وَمَنْ يُضْلِلْ اللَّهُ فما له من هاد.
Yes.
And whomever God lets
Yes.
go astray, then he has no guide.
Yes, but in a way, so this is what we were just discussing, but also in a way, it makes you, if you really believe in this and you know it, it makes you go closer to God. Like, try to always be close to God.
Sure, but
because
what about the person
it
that's
tries to make you, like, it makes you feel like you
What about-
always need to pray to God and to ask Him for guidance and to, like,
But what about the person that's led astray? Is it their fault? Or are they being led astray by God?
because if you believe in free will, then it is the person's fault.
Okay. All right. We've
So if they had returned to God, then God will help them back. But if they didn't return and they are still led astray, and honestly, I kind of see it. I don't like, of course, I don't know. Of course, our knowledge in this world is very limited, but you kind of see it. Like some people who do wrong things and then it it goes unpunished once, so they do it again and then they do it again and then you see it around you, right? It feels like
But I also see some good people that are lost. That are not lost, but like they're like, yeah, I'm a good person, I do good things, but
Yeah.
then I just don't believe.
in terms of believing in God,
Yeah.
and this is the first question I asked you in the
Yeah.
first verse, actually, if it's someone who's actually good or not doing
Yeah.
any harm,
Yeah.
but they're completely lost, where do they fall in this whole equation? I don't know. I really.
But
yeah.
here it says, and whoever God lets go astray, then he will have no guide.
Yes.
Which is a very specific, God is doing something and you are receiving it.
Yes.
And then they have torture in this worldly life and a torture in the afterlife, which is worse for them, and there's nobody going to protect them.
Yeah.
So you're screwed. Okay. And then here, why does it say مثل?
مثل
مثل
الجنة
الجنة.
التي وعد المتقين تجري من تحتها الأنهار أكلها دائم وظلها.
So is this an example? Is this a comparison? Is this a... Why is it saying مثل?
So this is why I was telling you. I don't know.
I also said I don't...
Paradise also is paradise.
Literal
Like,
or not?
literally.
Yeah.
Garden.
Yeah.
A garden
Yeah.
with water.
Yeah. There is a specific chapter on paradise later on, and it describes
Or is
the
it
fruits.
a way
It
to
describes,
make us, or is it a way to make us think of it, to make it closer to our brains? You know.
Maybe, because also I was thinking about this when I was reading the Quran, this chapter, but I didn't say it in my previous verses, so this is exclusive content if you don't watch the series. And my concept of heaven is not a Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
My concept of heaven is being with the love of my life who passed away, and
exactly
in a modern.
This is what I mean.
In a modern setting, like I would want to be in the world that I lived in, but heaven version, like where there's food and water and everyone's happening and no one's stressed. But it's like I want to have like bikes and I want to have cars and I want to have video games and I want to have darts. And it does say you can drink.
And this is why I don't know if heaven is really like. I don't think that anyone really knows.
There are other verses
maybe
of
I'm
heaven,
wrong,
and we'll not get it. The one thing it does say is
I think it can be an example, like it says here, مثل الجنة التي وعد المتقون تجري من تحتها الأنهار. That you will have all the food and you will have cover and it is like a garden. But honestly, I don't know. The thing is, I'm not sure if this is something that anyone knows for sure. That of course no one.
But this is why I told you there's something that, like, I believe in God, I believe in heaven and hell, but I don't know about God, and I don't know that God exists, but I believe that God exists. There's the difference, kind of. Like, for knowledge I need something I can validate, but for belief I can. So I don't know what heaven's like, but I believe that heaven's there, and I believe that heaven's there, and that.
I think that these are all beliefs because we didn't see heaven.
Yeah, so we can't really know.
It's fair to say that we believe that heaven is like this or that.
So you believe
But-
someone can believe something without knowing, right?
But we were talking about the difference between believing and thinking, not knowing.
No, that's
Because
what
I was telling you that
that's what I was saying.
thinking,
For me, thinking is knowing.
no, thinking is not knowing.
And okay, that's what I meant.
You mean okay, I got you
Okay,
now.
okay,
I got you now.
Yeah.
خلاص. And
Okay,
I was
miscommunication that
yeah,
happened
it was a
before.
miscommunication. I was thinking of it in a completely different way.
Yeah. Okay. This I found interesting. والذين آتيناهم الكتاب يفرحون بما أنزل إليك. Did the people who were given the book, the Jews and the Christians, rejoice with what was revealed to the prophets?
In the interpretation, they interpreted as the Muslims.
Yeah, but here
those who were brought the book, because the book can be the Quran, can be the Bible, can be the...
Yeah, but the Jews and the Christians
So here,
were not
specifically,
happy.
they interpreted this as Muslims, that the Muslims were happy with what was brought down. وَمِنَ الْأَحْزَابِ, and from the
tribes,
from the
group.
groups, they interpreted it as the Christians and the Jews. But my first thought when I read this is the Christians and the Jews, because throughout the text it's written الَّذِينَ أَتَيْنَاهُمُ الْكِتَابَ means
the ones who were given scripture.
Those who were given scripture before the Quran, which is
I actually think it means also included in the Quran. Because
it can also be including the Quran.
Because I think it's about a future messenger.
It can also...
If it's about a future moment in time, not a past moment in time, then the people of the book will rejoice because said future messenger is coming to deliver what all the prophecies were saying and doing. And then they will rejoice, because they're saying, oh, finally there's a messenger, and God and everything that we believe in is being proven in front of us. Those who truly believe from the people who are given the scripture are going to be very happy.
Actually, the translation is the believers among those who were given the scripture.
But it doesn't say the believers. It says وَالَّذِينَ آتَيْنَاهُمُ الْكِتَابَ, the ones who were given the book.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. But also in the Arabic interpretation, they made it like the believers as in the Muslims of the people.
So the ones who were given the book were happy, except for some groups. And then it says, say, indeed, I have only been commanded that I worship God, and I do not associate partners with him, and to him I call, and to him is my return.
Yeah.
Which is what all the messengers and all the prophets, everybody was saying. So this is what you should say, and this is how this is the code word for we're all part of the same crew.
Yes.
There's only one God. I worship him. I only worship him, and to him I return.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And then it says we have revealed authority in Arabic.
Yeah. And here I read about the languages of the scriptures. So Quran is in Arabic, but the Bible was in Aramaic, I think, which was the language before.
But is this talking about the previous verse? Or is this... Because in the end of every chapter, we do see a kind of concluding statement that says this, and thus we have revealed to you, and thus we have talked to you, and thus we have...
Yeah.
So now, it could be talking about the same verse than previously, or it could be talking about... all of what we've said up until this point and thus this is wisdom.
I think it's kind of separate from the previous.
I think so too.
It's kind of separate because, here it says and thus we have revealed it to you an Arabic scripture. So this was the first book to come in Arabic.
Yeah.
And I think actually Arabic didn't exist for a very long time. I think at the time of Jesus, there wasn't Arabic. It didn't exist. I think it was Aramaic that was spoken because it's all in kind of the same region. It's all in the Middle East, So
primary languages were Aramaic, Hebrew, and Greek.
Yes. So exactly, that was my.
Arabic
that's what I was reading about today.
Until the 7th century CE with the Islamic conquest. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing. Cool.
Yeah, so the Quran was in Arabic because it was also brought to people who spoke Arabic.
Yeah.
And
came to you with knowledge. That's what was protector and against God, you have no. If you follow their desires after it has come to you knowledge, which again, knowledge is the key word.
Yeah.
Then nobody's going to protect you from God, which is
Yeah.
a terrifying warning. It's like, do not, don't mess up, don't. Like, okay.
It is kind of a warning.
It's a warning. It sounds like a threat,
Yes.
but it's a threat. A warning sounds like a threat sometimes. Like if you do this, you won't.
Yes.
Anyway. And we have sent from before you. I find it interesting that it's saying messengers, and we made for them wives and offspring.
Yeah.
Why? Like, if this is talking to the Prophet Muhammad technically didn't have offspring, so to speak. He had daughters, but he didn't have sons. He didn't have sons, right?
But here it doesn't necessarily mean sons.
Okay.
Zuriya is like your children,
Offspring,
your offspring, yeah.
Okay.
So he did have, of course, wives and offspring.
Sure. And it wasn't for any messengers to come up with a verse, a sign, a statement, a message, except with the statement of God. And for لكل أجل كتاب.
Yeah.
Which I find for every time something is written.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is a statement we use a lot in Egypt. I don't know if it's also for you.
I don't know.
We use it a lot. لكل أجل كتاب. We use it actually when someone dies, to be honest.
Yeah, because
like for every person there is a set time, like it was his time, you know, or if something happens at a specific time, it is a very it is part of just submitting to God. Like whenever anything happens, you're just saying like to everything has a set time that is determined, so we just accept it. It's kind of accepting it.
And then it says
this is a very very interesting verse. So it means that God eliminates what he wishes and confirms what he wills. How did you understand it? What does he erase and what did he confirm?
Such an interesting phrase.
Yeah.
Because it feels like, and again, it ties into that concept: is the future written? Is it not? Is God kind of editing along the way?
Yeah.
Is that what it's happening? Something's happening. He goes, no, not that. Undo. Like I don't like. For me, the image that came up into my mind. Have you ever heard of The Never Ending Story?
No.
It's a fantasy book where the book is essentially blank pages, but as you're reading it, the lines are being added.
Okay.
And it felt like this, but it felt like this, but God has the option to be like, no, not that.
It is very interesting, and I will tell you what was written in the Arabic interpretation. So it could be related to the verses. Also, they say like al-ayat wal-ahkam, the verses
and the wisdoms or the judgments.
And what is decreed on people, so it can be erased and rewritten or something like that. It could be related to our doings, the things that we do.
Oh, I just got an idea.
Yeah.
I heard from a concept, hi Michael, that sometimes souls can be tied to one another. No, let's not get complicated. Let's not complicate. I was going to say, like, for instance, about somebody that had passed away, and is there any way to, like, kind of, you know, give to charity in their name to try and kind of do something good for them, and that good deeds can outright the
but
bad
this
deeds.
This is another concept that's mentioned in these verses, that the hasanat sayyi'ah, meaning the good deeds can replace the bad deed, but it's different than this. So this says that God eliminates what he wishes and confirms what he wishes.
Erases is the correct word.
Erases, yes.
Which makes disappear.
He erases what he wishes and confirms what he wishes. I actually got another idea now. It can be related to people.
What do you mean?
People are erased.
You cancelled. God being the original cancelled culture. Okay. We can ponder, we can guess. I think it's very cool. And I love the concept of the mother book. This is
also a very interesting. So if you Google the mother of the book, you will find that they say that the mother of the book is Al-Fatiha. the first chapter in the Quran.
I don't think that makes sense.
But actually, there
Because
are
it says, and
more
with him
modern.
is the mother of the book. It doesn't make sense. The Fatiha is with God, whether it's when it's with all of us.
Yeah, so عنده الكتاب. So what does it mean, the mother of the book? The way they interpreted it is that it's the base of the book. It's something that does not change. And this is why in some interpretations they say that the beginning, what is eliminated and what is confirmed, are related to also verses of the Quran, because the Quran mentions that there are some verses that are confirmed in meaning. It's like final. And some verses, the meaning can be interpreted in different ways in different times. You know what I mean? And some of the scholars, some of the people who study Quran, they say that there are 3 different types. So that the Mus'haf, the book, has 3 different types of verses. Some of the verses are considered the mother of the book, meaning they are the base of everything.
I here it says it's with God. I don't.
Yes,
for
no,
me,
but I do understand it
separates
as that
what we
he
have.
knows, so it's with him, the mother of the book. Like it's with him, he's the one who confirms what is the base of the book. It's with I don't know, honestly.
I feel like
I
it's
don't know, but it
I feel
is
like it's
very.
a different book. It's like
So
a
there
master
are-
book. I
so-
like the master record idea. I like the concept of a. Of
And
like,
with him is
of
the
like a
master
super-
record.
Yeah, that
What
there
is that?
that like the books that were given to us are to guide us and to drive us, but al-Kitab, the mother of the book, is like a different book, like the
So
master
here
source,
it's like
and this
it's
is
a
only
different
parts
book.
of it. Yeah.
Okay, no, I didn't realize that, to be honest, because people who study the Quran, they actually because I don't think it's the only time that is mentioned Kitab.
Yeah.
There is something called Kitab, and there is Kitab, and then just a second, السبع المثاني and القرآن اللوح المحفوظ الكتاب المبين. So there are different terms that refer to things inside the book, you know?
Kitab.
Can you Google it?
I googled Kitab, and the
Yeah.
Surah Al-Zukhruf came, which was indeed وأنه في الكتاب لدنيا لدنيا
No, Google it. What is the meaning of Kitab, for example?
What is the meaning
of the mother of the book?
refers to either Surah Al-Fatiha.
That's what I mean.
Which I don't agree with, the opening chapter of the Quran, or the
preserved al-Mahfuz.
Lawh al-Mahfuz.
That's what I'm talking about.
And that's what I kind of, the Lawh al-Mahfuz, the preserved tablet, is something separate, a source book in Allah's presence, which all divine.
It can also be.
And I think that our book is parts of it, maybe?
Yeah.
It could be parts of it, but either way, we don't know is the correct answer.
No, we don't know. We don't know. But there are people who study this and who came up with interpretation of what is Kitab and what is Lawh al-Mahfuz and what is Saba al-Masani and what is... Good. So there are different terms in the Quran referring to...
Different things.
Yeah. And I do believe that they are all different. So some people just equate everything. Like Lawh al-Mahfuz is equal to Kitab is equal to I don't know what. I believe that they are different. Yeah. Maybe our knowledge is not like... We are limited in our knowledge so that we don't really know, but like,
let's park it for now and get back to it.
Yes.
Here I found it interesting, and we show you some of what we're gonna promise them, or we'll kill you, we'll cause you to die. This confused me. So I'm like, you either see what we promised them, which I'm like, is this talking to the Prophet? What is this? What happened with the Prophet that he's gonna see? Or he's going to die? What? I don't feel like this is about the Prophet.
Then who is it about?
Future moment in time. So only for you is a conveyance and for us is the reckoning.
But I tell you why they interpret it all the time. Because this was inspired to the Prophet by Gabriel.
But the Quran is for all time. So it applies for both the Prophet and for the future. Potentially. And maybe some things he thinks applies to him and they're about the future only. Maybe some things apply to the future and apply to him and not about the future. I don't know.
Okay.
And then here's the statement. Did they not see that we gradually reduced the land from its borders?
Yes,
Which I
and
Googled it, and two different AIs told me two different answers. One was like the Earth is shrinking landmass. One told me that the Earth is increasing landmass. So, like the
and
science
there
on
is
it.
a there is a third explanation that I told you about, that they say that the Earth is it's not reducing the Earth itself, but it's actually that some people are dying, so it's like they are going away from the.
I don't see how human death has anything to do with.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Um,
I'm just saying what I read. I'm
yeah.
not necessarily that I'm
Yeah.
convinced of it, to be
Yeah.
honest.
And then it says God judges, and nobody can adjust God's judgment, and He's quick in reckoning. Which I'm like, I felt like maybe this was a sign of the end of times. If the Earth starts reducing land on its border, I feel like this again. If it's something about the future, then maybe there's a point in time when land starts drastically decreasing.
And actually, it should be a sign of the end of days. You know how the universe was created, and I think that this is actually scientific. The Big Bang, how it happens, how everything exists. It's from the Big Bang
Sure.
that there was an explosion, basically, and everything. So the theory is how everything will end, and this is a Stephen Hawking book that I was reading. How everything will end is that it will all come together again, and then this will be the end of the universe, probably.
And what does that have to do with reducing land?
Because yeah, it's reducing land, it will be reduced.
But that's reducing space. What does that have to do with the land on the planet? What's gonna happen on the planet? I was just imagining that on the planet, if all of a sudden it starts raining a lot and like the sea levels do rise to the point where we lose land, that's one of the signs of. That's what I was thinking, maybe. Because
maybe this will happen before everything just comes together.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, and I think I'm like 90% sure of this.
I'm glad you know. I'm happy you're happy. We should always do this at night where we reach the point where we've kind of lost the plot, but we're having fun. We're having fun. It's good. And the disbelievers plan, but God has the ultimate plan. He knows what every soul's commit, and the disbelievers will know the ultimate outcome. Pretty straightforward. I don't think there's anything significant to say.
Yeah. I'm very tired now.
ويقول الذين, and then the ones who disbelieved, and again, if this is talking about the prophet, which is kind of, it also, if it was talking about the prophet, they said that he wasn't a messenger, for sure.
Yeah.
But it can also, if there's a future messenger, then this is also talking to him, that they're going to say that he's not a messenger. And then say, sufficient is God as a witness between you, which I always thought was weird, because if they don't believe, why do they care if God's a witness? But then it says, from whoever has knowledge of the book, they are also good witnesses, which is very interesting. As is whoever has knowledge of the scripture. وَمَنْ عِنْدَهُ
okay.
عِلْمَ الْكِتَابِ.
Yeah.
Which I thought, that gave me more comfort, because like telling somebody that, oh, God enough is my witness, for someone who doesn't believe in God, is going to be like, okay, and then telling him, oh, and also the believers, the ones who are given the book, they are my witness too, and all I care about is them. That gives me more comfort and more feeling of safety than if it was just God. Specifically when you're talking to a disbeliever who doesn't believe in God, because he's like, oh, fun. Anyway.
I don't know.
Cool. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it this way for every chapter.
I think it's a lot.
I like this, but it's an hour and a half.
I think it's a lot, yeah.
And this is going to be fine for this one. It's going to be fine for the next one, because they're both short chapters. However, there are going to be some chapters that are like back to there's one more chapter that's 200 verses long, which I think is going to be too much.
We will definitely not be able to do it.
I think
if
let's
it's
do it
longer than this.
I think let's do it maximum of 5 sections, and then we reconvene.
Yes.
I think that makes sense, and
Yeah.
that would kind of do it. But if you've reached the end of this video, then you are a devout believer, and may God reward you for your faith and your patience, and we appreciate you. Thank you for watching us. We love you.
Thank you for watching.
We love you. We appreciate you, and we will catch you on next Sunday.
Yes.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Okay. Ma salama. Bye.
Bye.